days, I've been very critical about probably 90% of the mainstream material that's out.
It becomes a language. It becomes an international language in the sense that it becomes a popular culture. So pop culture being the popular thing. One of the things that makes Michael Jackson's music is very... I kind of agree with his family. When he died, they explained this is the type of thing you can take this thing to Brazil and you can have them listen to the music and they know the same language. They know the same songs. You can sing with them. And this is the international language from a cultural point of view. And what these companies are doing, they spread to you using MTV and all kinds of channels, playing in bars. The idea that you have to like, especially in the United States, I suppose, you have to like Bieber, Madonna is international, Britney Spears, everyone knows Britney Spears. You cannot not know Britney Spears. And then people will try to play around class or around somewhere. They will try to play the big music or the well-known music. They will not want to play something that's indie or something that's very obscure or something that's like... Some people like to do the opposite and play the heavy metal or something to kind of try to shock people around them and get more attention or whatever. And maybe they do enjoy the music.
Is that a subtle dig at me there, Roy?
No. I know certain people who shape their personality around the culture of being the opposite in some way and try to distinguish themselves using music among, especially among teenagers. I don't really want to generalize, but a lot of people, they're very angry around class. They have some issues sometimes. They turn into a different type of thing. They build their persona based on a parallel type of thing.
Well, now that we'll move on from Roy's psychological assessment of my mindset and my love affair. No. I'm pulling your leg, Roy. Don't worry. But I just want to keep on the subject of celebrities just very quickly. Just very quickly mention that the BAFTA Awards are currently underway as we speak. As you can imagine, I'm very unimpressed by listening to some vulgar people making statements. So we will not be covering the BAFTA Awards here, other than to say that we're not going to be listening to them, and I hope that you will be you'll be refusing to switch them onto your television as well once the TechBytes show is ready to download. Roy, I've just had a text through from I believe it's Chips, and I say I believe it's Chips, so he's a regular poster for the listeners that don't know, both on my site and Roy's, and it's a friend of mine, or somebody I'd like to consider a friend, that I met on Microsoft Watch in the forums many years ago. I say I believe it's Chips because it's his handle is just 2 letters, and I've never put a note by his name in my address book, so I believe this is Chips. If it's not, I apologise. And he just sent a link, which Roy, you might have already covered previously in the week, but I just wanted to throw it through to you. And it's Bill Gates sells off 90 million of his Microsoft shares, and that was on the 9th of February.
It could be any day now, because he's been doing this for a few years now.
Apparently, according to this article, Gates has reduced his stock holdings by 13% from last year, with 10 million shares sold as recently as last week. I'll be putting that in the show notes. Like I said, it's just come through on the fly. Chips didn't know that we were recording, so I will throw that there. Thank you very much, Chips. I hope you listened to the show, and thank you for letting me know that one.
I think it's just trying to show basically the confidence in the future value of Microsoft is declining. Gates is not the only person to throw away the stocks. The shares of the company, there is another round of buybacks now, which means the company is buying back its own shares. I know the managers. I haven't heard of any manager in Microsoft actually buying stocks in a while. I suppose when they buy in bulk, you usually hear something about it, but usually you hear about them selling right now. I'm not sure if Chips was linking to the Information Week article from Paul McDougall, I think his name was. He wrote about it, but the angle I took, and this is an angle we don't cover in the show too much because it's a long subject and a long story. If you want to talk about what Gates is doing these days, do we want to just give a summary of what the situation is, or?
Yeah, Roy, if you want to give a summary, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'll try and make it very concise and make it harder to attack me for it, because it's not something people are used to hearing. Well, Gates has been buying lots of press outlets. To those who don't know, there are lots of summaries. If they look for a summary of all the publication he's been buying the past few years, you will know he's been spending, I don't think he's been spending billions in the press, but I think he spent a good number of millions, maybe hundreds of millions, buying specific publications that cover the same strategic issues which he deals with. So he would buy, he would pay Education Weekly, and he would pay some African news, the biggest African online news channel, and even blogs, not just news channels. Now, the reason he's doing that is to change the coverage in national press, places like NPR and PBS, trying to change what they concentrate on and how they cover his work. So if he's working with Monsanto on trying to sell patented seeds to people in Africa, he needs to ensure the press is going to take his side in this debate, because lots of people actually know what's going on. What's actually going on is the same, it's the same old Bill Gates. He's trying to create monopolies. He is investing using his money under the shell of what's called a foundation, and he's investing in these companies which are going to profit from the lobbying he's then doing. The business model, the very simple explanation for it is, first of all, make sure the press is on your side, because if they're not, you're going to be slapped very, very hard for what you're doing, because people are not so stupid, and usually the people who are dealing with specific issues of health and nutrition, they know the tricks because they've seen it before with Rockefeller. So he needs to ensure they tell his stories, and he's paid the Guardian nobody knows how much he paid the Guardian, but they have a whole section now dedicated to just basically pushing his agenda, and they're being paid millions for it. That's just one paper. He's doing TV channels, he's doing just about everything, magazines, bloggers, what else is he doing? He's also paying all kinds of officials for all sorts of things in all sorts of ways, and scientists. He funds certain professors to push his line of work and to try and exclude everything else. So if you have one way of solving malaria, he will pay for his way to be advanced with his patents, and patents which are owned by his friends, especially Nathan Myhrvold, to be advanced at the expense of everything else. So the business model then is to basically make sure they tell your story, to pay them as much money as you can, and then to speak to politicians and to try to get them to pay taxpayers' budgets under the pretense we will help the developing world, and then they pass this money to companies like Monsanto, to companies which sell drugs, and they in turn, of course, make lots of money, and Gates is also investing in these companies, so it kind of pays off, and he's been making quite a bit of money in recent years, and he just needs to make sure the PR level are healthy enough, so people don't actually, not enough people actually know what the downsides of, what's bad about selling people in Africa seeds which are property of an American company. So even when the plants produce seeds, those seeds are supposedly, because of patents, owned by a U.S. company, and they have to buy the seeds from the company in the U.S. to eat, basically. Very serious things, and there is lots of explanation about all the things he's doing, like investing in tobacco companies and whatever. So the seriousness of this is, of course, he gets other people to pay for it, and there isn't exactly. Now he's trying to change the education system in the United States, which in turn changes the curriculum that they have for students, and they can shape the minds of kids. For those who don't know, the budget for the United States education is something like $500 billion per year. So he deals with very, very big money, like an order of magnitude greater than everything he's ever kind of amassed. And he can change how this money is being distributed and being used by teachers and schools and everything else. It's quite a scary thing, and he's not unique in that sense. So to his not credit, but to his defense, lots of very rich families do that. They try to, they do think they do good, but what they do is they do good from their point of view, and also what's good for them. So the reason we actually started this conversation, of course, is Gates is selling some shares in Microsoft, and I'm just thinking, well, the same money he's selling, the same money he gets back when he sells the stocks, he's probably going to invest in some companies like Monsanto. He's also investing in Coca-Cola, in Exxon, in BP. He's investing in Goldman Sachs, very notorious companies. But that's how that's how they make money. It's maybe a good investment, but it's not a very ethical investment, in my opinion. But that's up to him. Now, I think we mentioned this before, but lots of the executives of Microsoft, they own a lot of stock in the company, but they don't really talk about that. So they have an interest even after they leave Microsoft. They still have